Hey everyone, welcome to part 4 of Project Cobalt. This is the final part of the build log. So the custom paint is complete and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. There are a few different materials here. We have the original steel of the case, then all of the panels that we've added are aluminium and also acrylic. And on all of the different materials, the custom paint looks the same, which can be a little bit difficult on acrylic sometimes depending on the products you are using. But it's turned out just as I intended. It looks and feels like silver anodizing. I actually still need to paint those brass pieces. I'm going to paint them in a high gloss clear, but it's now time to reassemble the case. After weeks of modding, the case mods are finally complete. Anyone who I've shown this case mod who is not familiar with the project can't actually tell me what the case is, which is always something that you try to achieve when modding. Something that has always bugged me about modding is that because it's a one-off, people seem to forget about the quality and the design. For me, form and function are equal, and I really mean that. If you take a look at how I've redesigned this case, the internals, the layout, the components that it now fits. I've actually turned this really into a high-end water cooling case because it now fits two 360mm radiators. The airflow design has been changed. We've added a power supply shroud. I mean, the design has really been changed. But not only that, if you look at the materials that we've used, it's mostly aluminium panel bent into shape, high-end two-pack automotive paints. The quality, I mean, this is basically a production level case, and that is something that I always try to achieve with my mods. Now that the case mods are complete, we can finally start installing components and start on the build, but there are still a few components that I haven't yet covered, so we're now going to take a look at those. I have the components laid out ready to go, and yes, I've mentioned that this is an AIO build, and because of that it's seriously going to take 10 or 15 minutes to build this system. Just a fraction of the time that it took to do the case mods. So I really hope that whoever ends up with this build, I mean, I really don't know what's going to be done with it at this point, but I hope that they custom water cool it because that is what I designed this case for. So the system is complete, and we're now taking a look around the back of the build at the component layout and the custom cables. So you can see the two fans. There's about a 15mm gap between them and the rear side panel, and obviously in front of those I have the grill that I've added, so they're drawing air through the all-in-one radiator. Now they don't really matter for this config. The AIO radiator could have gone anywhere, but if you consider this for a custom water cooling system, normally hot air would come in through the front radiator. Well, now it could be exhausted straight back out the side. So, that's really why I did this. It's not going to have a huge effect, but also for the aesthetics, with a couple of SingularityComputers reservoir mounts, of course, you could actually mount a reservoir in front of these two fans and use LED fans, so that would create a seriously cool feature. The custom cables, there's hardly any of them back here, so it's incredibly clean. With the single fan splitter for all of the fans and the MDPCX sleeve, I love the colors. It's just worked out perfectly. I didn't get to overclock this system too much. It's not a custom water cooling loop, but still with the AIO, it would have allowed some good headroom for the 6700K, but it's a customer build. You don't push them too far, as always. So minor overclocks, but still pretty good results, and great results from the SSDs because they're in RAID 0. So you will probably notice that there are some things here that have changed. The power supply shroud, the SSD mounting configuration, the cover panel in the floor. Now we had to change these, and really it comes down to not doing enough test fitting. I mean, we test fitted many times, but when we got to the last component, we test fitted it once and then we made another change to it and then we didn't test fit it again. It always comes back to bite you. You have to test fit absolutely everything when you do case mods, because it's so easy to overlook something when you're doing everything by hand and straight out of your head. So you can see there's only a very small gap between the bottom of the motherboard and the power supply shroud, and the other one was about 2mm too high and it was on a slight angle, and I just didn't like it. But it allowed us to improve the design further. You can see with every version, even if we're just modding, we seriously improve things. So the problem with the previous version, I mean, it was a shame to lose the shadow chrome, but not so bad. Everything matches now. I actually prefer that. But the previous power supply shroud, it was 4 bolts. The bolts were hard to access. The SSDs, to get to the cables to plug them in, was extremely difficult. But now we've actually built this custom cover. All you need to do, 2 screws to remove that. You can unplug the SSDs, drop the cables down, and then you pull off the entire shroud, 2 screws, and then you can get to the SSD mounting. So it just works so much better for the design. You can see that we also had a lot of fun with the graphics card. I completely butchered it. I ripped off the shroud, completely redesigned the fan mounting. Quite a lot of time was actually put into that, and I think it really fits the theme and the mod. I'd like to say a huge thank you to M-Wave. They were great to work with, very positive, just happy for me to do whatever I wanted to, you know, my ideas, and let me have the time I needed, so that was awesome. And also a huge thank you to all of the companies who supplied components for this build: Gigabyte, Sapphire, G-Skill, and Fractal. Absolutely awesome fun building this system, and I hope that I can do many more of these in the future. So thanks for watching, and remember that none of this would be possible without our patrons.